Gender roles in the household and in leadership position. So first, we're going to talk about the gender roles in a household or families. Gender roles still exist within household. What exactly are gender roles? They are fixed gender-specific expectation established, in this case among families. This role of what should socially be considered masculine and feminine and have existed throughout many centuries. According to some sociological theories, gender role in the family are natural. For instance, according to the sociologist Parson, there is the instrumental role and expressive role. The nuclear modern family, it is essential that one parent perform the instrumental role, who is usually the father. The latter performs the role of leader and provider, and the mother takes up the expressive role, giving emotional support and performing the primary socialization of children. So basically, the woman or mother of the family stays at home to take care of the children and household duties, considered such as washing, ironing, shopping, cooking, and cleaning. While the father or a man figure goes to work so that he can provide for his family and have assumed three primary roles: the protector, the provider, and the disciplinarian. So next, we're going to talk about the gender roles in leadership position. Some scholars argue that particular traits give women an advantage over men in leadership. Such characteristics include advanced intermediary skills, especially in conflict resolution, effective communication skill, and a distinguished interpersonal skill. According to American Psychological Association, women tend to have a more cooperative, participatory style of leading. Men tend to have a more command and control style. They're more task-oriented and directive, while women are more democratic. So, the difference between male and female in leadership position. So, men provide direction for their employees, while women encourage employees to find their own direction. The cooperative style involves more conversation and listening, which often takes more time but leads employees to feel more valued. While women often motivate their employees by helping them find self-worth in satisfaction of their work, which serve as its own reward. This is a core part of the philosophy of transformational leadership. Help employees find their identity in the work that they do. So it's more than just a job. Men are more likely use the transactional leadership approach of providing incentive for succeeding and penalties of failing. Differences in leadership between male and female manager can work in tandem too, as transactional leaders can ensure accountability while transformational leaders motivate and inspire. Again, it's not that people of either gender make better leaders. Of course, either gender can learn to succeed in either of these leadership styles.
Good day everyone, I am Carmela Monopolio. So today, I will tackle about the machismo and toxic masculinity. So, machismo, it describes a strong or exaggerated sense of manliness, an assumptive attitude that virility, courage, strength, and entitlement to dominate are attributes or concomitants of masculinity. Stemming from the Spanish word macho. Machismo is a social construction of masculinity common across that maps out how men should engage with their gender based on virility, courage, strength, and power. Machismo describes a way of being in which being macho rules. The biggest, greatest, and most prideful men are to be respected by those around them by all. The assumptive nature of machismo is traditionally ingrained in men throughout latex cultures and impacts how they behave, speak, and interact with others and their role in their household and society. So, in Latin American culture, machismo is a social behavior pattern in which the Latino male exhibits an overbearing attitude to anyone in a position he perceives or as inferior to his, demanding complete subservience. So, machismo encompasses positive and negative aspect of masculinity. In positive is bravery, honor, and sexual powers. And in negatives are preserve emotion, sexism, dominance, and aggression. Machismo culture is multidimensional. As at its worst and most collectively understood, machismo enforces toxic masculinity. So, machismo enforces toxic masculinity when machismo is adhered to men's worthiness or is attributed to a traditional narrative or a kind of hyper-masculinity that is authoritarian and emotionally restrictive. So, the examples of machismo is dominance is seen as an admirable trait. Men are taught that they need to exercise their power through dominance because they are men. They can work hard and provide monetarily for their family, and as a result of fulfilling this role as a breadwinner can treat their spouses however they wish. The next example is bravery is a positive attribute until it's not. So machismo culture is most widely understood as a culture of toxicity, but not every originating value of machismo is inherently inexcusable. To be brave is not an inherently harmful virtue. Brave people are often looked upon with reverence across societies, stories, and traditions. So next is toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity isn't just about behaving like a man. Instead, it involves the extreme pressure how some men may feel to act in a way that is actually harmful. There are many definitions of toxic masculinity that appear in research as well as pop culture. Some researchers have come to agree that toxic masculinity has three core components. So first is thoughtness. This is the notion that men should be physically strong, emotionally callous, and behaviorally aggressive. The second is anti-femininity. This involves the idea that men should reject anything that is considered to be feminine, such as showing emotion or accepting help. Third is the power. This is the assumption that men must work toward obtaining power and status, like social and financial, so they can gain the respect of others. So I have here masculinity becomes toxic when men feel they need to conform to rigid gender norms, which include acting like a bully to maintain a constant competitive advantage, avoiding losing at all costs, restraining one's emotions, except for pride and anger, which are the only acceptable masculine emotions to express, showing strength and aggression in the moments to conflict, being dominant over women and other men, which is typically displayed through aggressions. So, in mental health stigma, toxic masculinity also discourages men from getting mental health treatment. Depression, anxiety, substance uses, and mental health problems may be viewed as weaknesses. A 2015 study found that men who bought into traditional notions of masculinity held more of a negative attitude about seeking mental health services compared to those with more flexible gender attitude. Toxic masculinity may also stress that it's inappropriate for men to talk about their feelings. Avoiding conversations about problems or emotions may increase feelings of isolation and loneliness. It may also reduce men's willingness to reach out and get help when they are experiencing a mental health issues.
Good day, everyone. So, our report is all about women as human trafficking victims, exploitation, and the plight of Filipino migrant workers. Trafficking in human beings is one of the most repulsive and rapidly growing activities of organized criminal groups. So, the crime is especially pernicious, preying as it does on the most vulnerable women, children, the poor, and the least educated. Poverty, unemployment, and lack of opportunity are in the background of many human tragedies. The trafficking of human beings, the vulnerability of victims is the result of a basic and understandable desire for people to migrate in search of economic opportunity and greater. The victims of human trafficking are mostly powerless, legal framework are inadequate, law enforcement procedures weak, prosecution of perpetrators rare, and punishment seldom severe. The work of UNODC has amply demonstrated that human trafficking is a serious concern that requires a serious response from the global community. Some important steps have been taken. So, what are the facts about human trafficking in the Philippines? So, human trafficking is the second largest criminal enterprise in the world. After narcotics in Asia's Western Pacific, human trafficking is the Philippines is a considerable concern. It has one of the largest victim population in the world with an estimated 784,000 people living as modern-day slaves. Effects of human trafficking. The types of physical and psychological abuse human trafficking victims experience often lead to serious mental or emotional health consequences, including feelings of severe guilt, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, alcohol or narcotics, and eating disorders. Human trafficking and how does it happen? So, human trafficking occurs when a trafficker uses force, fraud to compel another person to work or engage in a commercial sex act. It sometimes involves crossing a border but does not require it. So, what are the facts about human trafficking in the Philippines? So, the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA foreign missions primarily in the Middle East and Asia identified 2,429 potential Filipino trafficking victims, 6,772 in the preceding period. The vast majority of these victims reported experiencing illegal recruitment. And so, how can we prevent human trafficking in the Philippines? Increase the number of victims witness coordinators to assist anti-trafficking task forces. Develop and implement programs aimed at increasing awareness of the harmful impacts of online child sexual exploitation and child sex tourism. Increase efforts to protect children demobilized from armed groups.
Women as human trafficking victims, exploitation, and flight Filipina migrant workers. Trafficking, the act of recruiting, transporting, transferring, harboring, or receiving a person by means of coercion, deception, or abuse of vulnerability for for the purpose of exploitation, such as sexual exploitation, slavery, and forced labor, among others. Exploitation: the action of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work, like a dangerous, difficult, or otherwise unfortunate situation. Migrant: a person who moves from one place to other, especially in order to find work or better living condition. What is human trafficking? Human trafficking is the trade of humans for the purpose of forced labor or sexual slavery or commercial sexual exploitation. Human trafficking can occur within a country or transnationally. It, it is distinct from people smuggling, which is characterized by the concept of the person being smuggled.
Good day, I am the last reporter for this topic. My topic is all about objectification and sexualization. Objectification and sexualization are two integrated concepts that refer to the reduction of individual to near objective of sexual desire, fantasy, or consumption, while objectification refers to involve the dehumanization and loss of agency and autonomy of a person. Sexualization involved the emphasis on sexual appeal, attractiveness, or activities. Objectification can manifest in a various forms, such as treating a person as a means to an end or reducing them to a physical object. This can be lead to negative consequences such as diminished self-worth, body dissatisfaction, and even violence. Sexualization, on the other hand, can be perpetuate unrealistic beauty standard, create undue pressure to comfort to create look or behavior, and contribute to the objectification of individuals. Some examples of objectification in media and popular culture include: first, treating a woman as an object of sexual desire in advertisement, movies, music videos, and other media. Second, depicting men as a hyper-masculine figure who derive their worth from their physical strength and sexual prowess. Third, the use of model and actor who conform to a Eurocentric beauty standard, perpetuating an idealized image of physical beauty that include people of color and those with disability. Some examples of sexualization in media and popular culture include: first, the use of suggestive imagery and innuendo in advertising, often featuring women as the object of male desire. Second, the portrayal of women as a sexual subject rather than active participants in a sexual relationship. Lastly, the use of graphic sexual content in movies, television show, and other media, often for stock value or titillation. Additionally, it's important to recognize and challenge this type of objectification and sexualization in the media, as they can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and contribute to the culture of misogyny and gender equality. Both objectification and sexualization can contribute to the harmful attitude and behavior towards women, and marginalized group, it is important to recognize and challenge this harmful practice and work towards promoting respect, autonomy, and equality for all individuals. That's all for this group. I hope you learn a lot from us. That's all and God bless.